Welcome back to the PFL. You are one of the few that can say that they are here as an amateur. Tell me about the opportunities before you. What's it like being in your shoes? Very few people will ever be able to say they've been able to step on such a stage. Put in the words.
Yeah, again, I'm super blessed, super grateful. Being able to have this kind of experience and fight in the SmartCage on ESPN and for the PFL as an amateur it's unheard of, and it's an opportunity that I've been given. So I can only thank God and the PFL for giving me the opportunity, and it's only preparing me for my pro career and where I'm going to go later on in life.
Any jitters this week?
Of course, yeah. Every fighter is nervous before a fight, but this fight I'm more excited than I am nervous. It's like the good nerves, the nerves like I know I got to do my thing, So of course, the nerves are always going to be there, but I'm very, very excited for this one.
And what has your preparation been like leading up to this fight?
Same old, really. Training with a lot of the guys that I train with. Very high level dudes. I've only been this camp, the camp before New York, and the camp before my second fight. I've only been wrestling and grappling. So it's really, I think it's awesome too, because a lot of fighters that are going to fight me think that I'm just a striker or a boxer, but once they see my wrestling and jiu-jitsu and submission attempts and even subs, they're going to be like, what? He could grapple? This is an MMA fight. I need to know how to, so yeah, it's the preparation's been great. All the hard work is in the barn now. Now it's time to perform Friday.
And what would it take to win, do you think? What do you need to do?
Do what I do every day. Be in there, be calm, and like my grandfather said, float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Float, be calm, be relaxed, but when I go, I'm going.
Like it or not, coming from the legacy that you come from, you give it a lot of opportunities that other people might not get. Mm-hmm. So do you think does that put extra pressure on you to, justify the opportunities that you're given and show that, hey, it's not just because of my name, I've earned it, I deserve it? So do you feel extra pressure?
1,000%. Why wouldn't I feel that if I'm given this opportunity? And there's a lot of pro fighters that don't get this kind of opportunity. So yeah, of course, I think that pressure is there, and I am looking to show people I actually do have talent. I do have the will to fight. I am born for this. So yeah, I definitely have something to prove. But what makes pressure? What makes diamonds is pressure. So bring on all the pressure in the world. I don't care. I'm just looking to win fights.
And then, for every Floyd Mayweather Jr. who, far surpassed his father, mm-hmm. There's dozens of, athletes who, of course, grandfather, but, well, actually, your whole family. But yeah. There's been so many failures. With your grandfather being such a, maybe the greatest athlete of all time, certainly probably the most popular or famous, is there, again, with the pressure, you don't want to be completely mm-hmm. not live up to what he's done. So how important is it just for his legacy for you to say, hey, if it's almost impossible to match what he did, of course, but to at least say, hey, he was great.
Yeah, 100%. You just said it. It's impossible. Nobody is going to be able to live up to what he's done. What he did in boxing and what he did for the world outside of the ring, nobody can match that. So, not even me, not even my brother, but he's a role model to look up to try, right? To try to make a big impact, and that's my goal. I'm using MMA is for me a platform to help people and become a humanitarian like he did. He was the people's champ for a reason. He would walk down the street, never say no to an autograph, never say no to shaking someone's hand or giving a hug. He would hold kids. People would give him their kids, and he would hold them and kiss them on the cheek. He would promote boxing in order to help those who are depressed and getting bullied in school. I'm trying to do this exact same thing. For me, that's the big picture to me. The MMA is just giving me that platform in order to do stuff like that. So yeah, like obviously like people care about the money and stuff like that, but I don't care. I really don't. The only thing I care about is helping people and securing a spot for me in heaven.
Last thing, guys, who got the better? You and Nico had a fight a little bit growing up. Who got the better?
I got the better for sure.
Because your wrestling ability.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But
I'll have to ask him.
yeah, me and Nico, we used to fight like dogs growing up, but that's because he was really good at getting under my skin. He was really good at that. But we've always been close, me and my brother. We've been close our entire lives. We're even closer now because we're both in combat sports and we're both very, very, very supportive of each other. So yeah, I definitely won those in back then. Yeah.
I believe your grandfather's last title fight was just over the road at Caesars Palace against Larry Holmes. So do you feel a sort of sense of nostalgia being back in Las Vegas, obviously fighting where your grandfather made some memories?
Yeah, I work at Caesars Palace. I work at one of the nightclubs out there. So when I'm there, sometimes it'll cross my mind like, wow, my grandfather fought here. You know, like it's a very historical place in the boxing world. So yeah, sometimes I do feel that. Vegas is obviously the fight capital of the world, and it's my hometown. It's where I grew up. You know, I was born in Chicago, but I moved here when I was 6. So I grew up here in Vegas, and just to be able to fight in Vegas is awesome. You know, I didn't think it would come this soon. You know, I always thought to myself, when could I fight in Vegas, and when could like my friends and my local co-workers even come to my fight? Like, when could this happen? And it's happening now. So I'm super just. Again, you're going to hear this a lot from me. I'm super grateful. I'm super blessed that I get to have this opportunity so soon.
I know you've obviously afforded great opportunities so early, but I'm sure when you enter the gym, the surname gets left at the door and you're just one of the guys and you've got to do the rounds like everyone else. Do you enjoy that sense of being treated the same as everyone else when you're in the gym and doing what's necessary that everyone else has to do?
Yeah, that's how the sport is. You know, there's champions in the UFC and PFL and ONE, LFA, and all these organizations that get their butt whooped at the gym. But people don't see that, you know, and that just makes them better and better. You know, John Jones sometimes get his butt whooped in the gym, but that's why he's John Jones. That's why he's so good. So. Yeah, when you're in the gym, it's everybody's the same, really. Obviously, there's higher level dudes and stuff, but a lot of the guys I go with are very high level, and I'm still an amateur, so I'm getting a lot of good work against really good guys, and they're helping me out as teammates. So I'm super grateful for that, and the coaches that I have as well, and just the love and support is like it's fuel to me. It just motivates me, and it secures the idea in my head that I'm going to do great.
Now, I mean, the Muhammad Ali name, you don't want to get away from that ever, but how do you establish your own identity separate from that and just show who you are as a fighter?
Win fights. Win a bunch of fights. Win a bunch of fights. Be articulate in my wording. Be great for the media. Do good things to help my community. Help people outside of my community. This is how I'm going to secure my name.
Do you think it's harder to live up to your grandfather's name as a fighter or as a humanitarian? I have a personal answer, but I'm just wondering what yours is.
That's a great question. I think it'd be difficult for both because, you know, as a fighter, he was the heavyweight champion of the world, and he fought like almost everybody in their prime, really. So, I'm not saying that I can't do that, but I'm at such an early point in my career that I'm trying to focus on doing great as an amateur before I can even go pro. So, I think it would be almost more challenging as a humanitarian, I think, because, you know, everywhere he went, he would enter restaurants. When we would go out with him to movie theaters, restaurants, everybody would stop what they're doing, they'd notice who was in the building, and they'd stand up and start clapping. I've never seen that happen with anybody else before. And I don't know. I don't think that that's going to happen with me. But you know, it's a role model to look up to and hope that you can make that kind of positive influence on people. So I think to answer your question, I think it would be challenging to live up to both. Just to live up to being next Muhammad Ali, I think is almost impossible.
It shouldn't even be something it's something like you said, just something to aspire to, but
Yeah.
most of us could live 1,000 lives and never even come close to making any sort of an impact, professional athlete or not even
Yeah.
outside of professional sports. Now, you had mentioned you had spent the last couple of training camps, really polishing up your wrestling and your grappling. Now, you made pretty clean work of your last fight here when we saw you in the SmartCage. Now, was that just something you knew you needed to do as a MMA athlete, or is there something you felt in your last fight or two that you thought, wow, this is something that I really need to get a little more well rehearsed on? I just can't count on my striking all the time.
Yeah.
Or is it just something you had to do just for being an MMA
Yeah,
athlete?
it's like you said, something I just have to do to be a well-rounded mixed martial arts artist. You have to grapple. You know, you have to wrestle. You have to do certain things. You know, there's certain judo stuff that I do. I want to mix it all in, and that's what you have to really do to be a good or great mixed martial artist. You can't just be a striker. You can't just be a kickboxer. You got to really know all of them. So I think it's just a given being in MMA to learn all the sports.
And last question for me, if the PFL would have been around in the 60s and 70s, how well do you think Grandpa would have did? You think you'd have been a crossover?
I think he for sure would have. You know, I know in in 76 he crossed over and fought a wrestler. So if the PFL was there in the 60s, 70s, he would for sure do it. He would for sure do it because he believed he was the greatest. You know, he called himself the greatest. The whole GOAT talk was started from him. So when he said the greatest, he didn't say I'm the greatest boxer. He said I'm the greatest of all time. So he would want to do MMA if it was in the 60s, I believe.
Thank you, and
Thank
best
you,
of
guys.
luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you.
I'm around Eddie Mustafa Muhammad a lot.